Hey all, this is 102 Boku coming at you with another movie review. Sorry, it's been a bit again, just a lot going on, and do a little side on my viewers who possibly, do care about that sort of thing, who like me and who follow me, but went through a knee surgery and, is just that, big stuff, but, hey, I'm doing better now and stuff's good. Still in a knee brace splint, so got to go through that for the next 2 weeks. So hey. But like I said, since I don't have work, since I don't have a lot of stuff, maybe try to get maybe like one or two more reviews up besides this one before I head back to work. But we shall see where that road leads. Okay. But anyway, on to today's movie, and we still continue with the James Bond pictures, and we currently do as we deal with the infernal glare, but as you guys see, diamonds are forever. And if you guys have not seen this, and if you aren't aware, yes, that is Sean Connery. Sean Connery did come back for this one, and I'll explain what reasons why, and you know, uh, like how things went with that. But it was very interesting and possibly a little selfish on Connery's part, but once again, that is up to the beholder. Maybe you guys think he wasn't as selfish. I think he was a little bit, but hey, that's how it can be sometimes. But either way, this is the, I think it's the, yeah, it's the seventh in the, let's see. Sorry, I know I'm going to do the count. I just want to make sure I have this right. Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, um, yeah, You Only Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret. Yeah, so the seventh figure in the Bond films and movie. And it's another good one. It is another good one. It does sort of lack its proper tension and whatnot. Now, a lot of people said with the and these are the coming years of uh yeah Guy Hamilton and uh Lewis Gilbert, and a lot of people like to hamper Guy Hamilton and Lewis Gilbert because they think they made James Bond like way too serious and like not funny enough and not good enough. And this one was made in 1971. And the thing is, I will do this, that when you have let's see, Lewis Gilbert, I will go into thing, and I'll tell you right now ahead of time, Lewis Gilbert were camp, but they were still really good movies. Same thing with Guy Hamilton's. They had some campy moments, but they were still great films. And I think Guy Hamilton is one of the great Bond directors that they kept on. Same thing with John Glenn, and I will get to John Glenn's when we get there too. But no disrespect to Lewis Gilbert or Terrence Young. I was gonna say Terrence Howard, but I'm like, don't think it's Terrence Howard because that's the actor. But Terrence Young and stuff like that. But Guy Hamilton and John Glenn, I think, are the two great Bond veterans of the sport. Because Guy Hamilton also gave us a film before this, which was Goldfinger. And if you guys love Goldfinger, and Goldfinger is considered to be one of the best amongst Bond patrons, a lot of them. But I mean, to me, it's a great film and I love it. But we'll get to one of my favorites coming soon in about one or two movies here. But with Diamonds Are Forever, I mean, it's a good movie. It involves Bond going out for vengeance against Blofeld, and the whole beginning is about that. Now, originally what this film, to give you a quick history lesson from audio commentary and special features, is that they wanted this film to feature Auric Goldfinger Jr. You could look at my face just by saying that. You could see how ecstatic I was. And not to say that that wouldn't have been a great idea down the line, but another thing is, how did Goldfinger have a kid? Because he seemed to be a guy who, you know, didn't get sex and just paid women to be with him. I think he wanted something with pussy galore, but it never materialized. She turned him down. And, you know, Joe Masterson was only being paid to scene with him, and Bond made sure that that was just it. If you guys remember what I said in Goldfinger, and if you guys have seen Goldfinger, you know that'd be true. But for this one, I didn't think it fit the bill. I think they needed to continue with Blofeld, because when I had heard that, I was in such shock, because I'm like, you guys wouldn't continue with Blofeld. Bond's wife dies in the previous film. Oh, crap. Sorry. Spoilers. Spoilers. I can't do my hand gesture about it because, you know, I already, like, said that a lot. But spoilers. But, yeah, Bond's wife, Tracy. Yeah, there we go. Tracy died in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Blofeld, you know, with Irma Bunt, killed her, and Bond had every right to go out for vengeance. And when I learned they weren't going to do that, I'm like, that would have made this film a bit more stupid. And if fans were following the plot, they would have been like, okay, what the hell? Because they have Bond at the beginning of the movie go and find every acquaintance or businessman or henchman of Blofeld. He goes all over the country, it seems, and he threatens every one of them. I don't know if he killed everybody or whatnot, but he really just gets on them hard and leans into them. And Sean Connery and the stunt doubles who doubled him, and, you know, everybody else in those scenes made it worth it, because in Connery's acting for the vengeance of carrying on from George Lazenby was perfect, because, you know, you could tell he was mad that Bond as a character was mad for losing his wife, that he wanted vengeance, and he made sure he went anything to do it. And another spoiler, and I will say complete spoiler if you don't want it spoiled, because it is a focus of the whole film. So this will be the only one you get, and it's the only time I'll hold it, because there could be more spoilers here, but this will be the main one. So spoiler. And okay, if you're still there, I hope you're not listening in, but spoiler. Basically, Bond finds Blofeld, brutally kills him by, I think, dumping him in a heat vat or vat of gold or whatever it was. But he dumps Blofeld in there, and Blofeld, that was actually a double of him, and or a clone, one of the two, I forget which. And Blofeld actually survives and is the main villain in this movie. Now, to get to the characters, Sean Connery, once again plays Bond, and it wasn't easy to get him back. They wanted to, like, after Lazenby left under those, I think, stupid circumstances and misunderstandings, they couldn't get Lazenby, and they didn't have him. So they, once again, I think, wanted to go for Roger Moore. I think at this time, too, they also wanted Timothy Dalton again, because I found out that they wanted Timothy Dalton early on as well, besides Roger Moore, and they couldn't get either man, because either man was still tucked down into their TV deals and play deals and other movie deals they had at the time, so they couldn't get him, and they were searching, and then I think it was Harry Saltzman or who said, well, shoot, we can't get this guy. What's wrong? Hold on, guys. Phone was ringing. Let me check that really quick, okay? It's okay, bud. It's okay. It's just my phone. It's all right. It's okay, bud. Apologies, guys, because Windows Movie Maker you don't have pause or type of edit. But hey, sorry about that. Unknown caller, by the way. And basically, they I think it was Harry Saltzman who said, "Let's just lure Sean Connery back." And they talked with him, and they tried to make a deal with him, but Sean Connery did not want to do it. He did not want to come back, and they begged and pleaded. He still said no. And then they asked him one more time, and I think, and this is in 1971, so this amount of money was unheard of. But to lure Sean Connery back, he demanded $1 million for the payment of the movie. And they folded. I guess they have made enough in previous Bond films, and they gave it to him. So they made Sean Connery pay the $1 million to do the role. And when the role was done, that was it. He did not want to do it again. He did not want to be involved. He was through. So when he was done, paid the $1 million and done. And you can't tell by any of the things, but Sean Connery, who was starting to gray and get old and look old, and also like he was starting to gain weight during this time, and you can see where they were dyeing his hair to make sure none of the gray came in, and also this performance wasn't his best. So it was sort of like a sad hand-me-down of what we got from what Sean Connery used to do. And, I mean, it really was sad to see, but I mean, Sean Connery does give a pretty dang good performance in this movie, and I still have to give Sean Connery credit for coming back and doing it. The $1 million part seems a little unfair, but at the same time, I guess I can understand, because after You Only Live Twice, he really did not want to have anything to do with the Bonds anymore, because he was fed up. And let's see. We also have Tiffany Case. Or no. Oh, sorry. That's the name of the character. Jill St. John as Tiffany Case. And Jill St. John was a lady in this film who I think worked with the Howard Hughes like character, who's played by Jimmy Dean in this movie, believe it or not. And yeah, she was an alright villain. She hooks up with Bond. They have their little thing. She gets involved with the villain, but she does help Bond in tight squeezes with the henchmen and other problems. And I mean, it worked out pretty well. I mean, as you can see, it's like Tiffany Case was sort of one of the Bond girls who I think, sort of like Pussy Galore, didn't contribute as much to the film. And sadly, like Ursula Andress, Honey Rider. But I mean, she had it where it counts. She was always there when Bond needed her, and she had a friendly disposition. She was very plucky. Tiffany Case, Jill St. John played her very plucky, which I think was a cool little attribute. You had her be there, and like she was trying to help Bond out in the casinos, like helping track Blofeld, finding out where this guy was at and everything. So Tiffany Case, had her charm and did what she needed to do. And Jill St. John, I think, did an alright job. Oh yeah, you also had Charles. Sorry, because as you guys see, I'm looking on the back to know who it is. Charles Gray, who played Blofeld in this one, and like I say, I like Diamonds Are Forever. Thought it was a good movie, but man, some of the changes they made. Yeah, Charles Gray played Blofeld, and Charles Gray you may remember from You Only Live Twice, one movie before, a few years ago, and because he played Henderson. And Charles Gray had an alright look for Blofeld. Blofeld finally had hair again, because when he was being doubled by Anthony Dawson had hair. But Blofeld had hair again. He was sort of like a white-haired man. He like, you know, had the same sort of suits that, you know, uh, Telly Savalas and Donald Pleasance wore, and also to that same point, you know, he was a Blofeld where I think he had ideas and he was calculating. Like, if there's one thing I can give Charles Gray, he was calculating. He knew what he needed to do. He was definitely he had the intelligence that Blofeld carried, but he didn't have any of the sinisterness, any of the evil, or the like madness that Donald Pleasance, or you know, or the tough guy mentality as well that Telly Savalas played, because Telly Savalas had all that too, plus the toughness. But he didn't have any of that. Like, Charles Gray's Blofeld, they sort of made like a pushover, but he was very calculating and determined and intelligent. Um, the one thing but the one thing is that I found out, that's how Guy Hamilton and the rest of the team wanted Blofeld to be. They wanted a campier Blofeld, since both Donald Pleasance and Telly Savalas played the character with a bit more of the evil vigor, so they wanted a bit more of a campier Blofeld, which I'd say I don't agree with completely, but at the same time, I give Blofeld props for this one. Which, another spoiler here for anyone who's still listening who doesn't want to hear this spoiler, which I'll give you a quick rundown with my hand. Alright, if you're still there, I will say it. Blofeld at the end of this movie actually survives, and we don't see Blofeld again until, was it, I think it's, shoot, I can't remember if it's Octopussy or For Your Eyes Only, which I think it may be For Your Eyes Only that we see Blofeld again, finally. But either way, you know, good stuff for that one. um, and like, let's see, we also have, oh yeah, Plenty O'Toole, who, was played by Lana Wood, who was another, girl that Bond runs into and has, dealings with. Plenty O'Toole, I think, was, one of the, call girls who was working under Blofeld, or I didn't think she knew she was working under Blofeld. Like, she had all these different things to try to get diamonds, and she was sort of, I think she was like a swindler, and like, you know, she tried to swindle Bond and the mafia, but it didn't work out. And but she you know, was a good-looking girl. You know, she had a good look to her and was very nice. I mean, she had a nice plunky spirit too. There were like a lot of plucky spirited women in this film, and you know, it was nice to see, of course. And like, the one thing that would be is that it goes all and just continues on, and like, you know, Plenty O'Toole, after she failed to get the diamonds and get Bond's sexual services as well, she's actually found out by Blofeld, and Blofeld's men kill her. They drown her in a pool by having her suspended there, and I guess they also hung her from there. So I guess she hung and was also drowned in the pool. So, sucky way to go, but you know, hey. I mean, that's Bond films for you. Elaborate deaths. Let's see. Oh yeah, you have, oh, that's his name. Jimmy Dean's Howard Hughes' character is Willard White. And it's funny seeing this sausage country singer guy, because Jimmy Dean's Sausage was already out at the time too. And it's funny seeing this country singer, sausage maker guy be in this movie, because you don't think it would fit, but I guess he always wanted to be in a Bond film, so they gave him the aristocratic, paranoid, Howard Hughes-like character, Willard White, who basically has his company, and Blofeld, you know, took advantage of the paranoia and the hiddenness of Willard White, and was using Willard White's voice as a microchip voiceover over the phone, and was in his penthouse to control everything with the diamonds, the backroom deal smuggling, the black market smuggling, because he was trying to get diamonds from all over the world and eliminating anyone who could have helped him get the diamonds. Anything with anything that was a part of it. And you know, so like it was funny seeing that. But the thing is, when Willard White's discovered, he becomes an actual really big ally of Bond, and you know he's there like you know helping out Bond, and you know Willard White's sort of like he knows his business, but he's like absent-minded at times. He's very glamorous. He has beautiful women all around him, so you know very very great parody of Howard Hughes, and I think Jimmy Dean did a great job of that. So you also have oh Bruce Bruce Cabot is Saxby. Now I've only seen this um, Diamonds Are Forever once, but Saxby I think was a let's see. Oh yeah, he was a worker for Willard White who was actually turned by Blofeld, and you know Saxby was trying throughout the film to try to kill James Bond, I believe, and unsuccessfully, you know, couldn't do it. But he was trying to stalk James Bond to eliminate him, to get him off the wrong course, so he didn't follow Blofeld, and you know, like he was sort of like the sniveling, conniving henchman, like you know, like doing stuff for money. But he met his end when agents shoot him, and like when Willard White says, "What happened to Saxby?" and Bond's like, he's just been he's just been shot out, and you know, and like Willard White's, well, tell him he's fired, and you know, Bond looks at him like he just died, buddy. So it's like one of those cool things, and I think that's what who Bruce Cabot was. I think I'm not too sure. So if anybody knows the difference, please tell me in the comment section below. And when I redo these, I'll hopefully redo them better, because some of these I do plan to redo, like review and do like maybe the top 5 or top 10 things about it, and you know bottom and stuff like that. So hey. Oh yes, and we have the we have the two characters who, one was an actor, one was a golfer as well, professional golfer, and what we have is Mr. Wint, who is one of Blofeld's minions and trusted henchman, played by Bruce Glover, and there's also Mr. Kidd, played by, like I said, the golfer Putter Smith, I believe. I believe Putter Smith is a golfer. He was some sort of sports player who wasn't an actor, but they got for this film, and he really enjoyed it too. And Putter Smith and Bruce Glover played Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, who were Blofeld's top trusted henchmen, as I just said, and they were the guys who were always around making sure that they got the diamonds and paid the people their money, but then they would also make sure that they tied up the loose ends. Like anyone they got the diamonds from, they were always there to be, you know, to kill them, to you know, make sure they were out of the way, to make sure anything that needed to be done was done. And then they were always there trying to get rid of Bond and help, you know, Blofeld achieve his plans. And throughout the film, you know, they're there and they're telling these weird sort of sick death jokes, and they, you know, they eliminate like anyone in their way, and you know, like they're always together like hand in hand. And they actually admit in this film it's one of the first times you actually see a complete full-on, like they don't do anything like that, like sexually, but they hint at it, and that's, you know, homosexualism or homosexuality. There we go. So they could be the first homosexual couple in films, one of the few. And it's like how there were scenes on the plane where they were together, and you know, they're talking about how like you know, when the stewardess come up to them and asking like, how are you boys doing, and like, you know, Mr. Wint's giving these weird things. And I think Mr. Kidd says when they're following Bond, you know, he said something nice about Bond that gives Mr. Wint like this, like, what are you talking about? You belong to me, look. And you know, so it's there, and you know, I mean, it's not that bad. It's very playful, and like I said, it's darkly sick humor between the two when they kill somebody or they attempt to kill somebody, and it's very odd, but they make it work to where you're not like completely opposed by it. It's really funny to see what they do together. And towards the end of the film, so another spoiler here, so really quick. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so another spoiler here. Bruce Glover and Putter Smith is Mr. Wint and Kid. Start the whole thing that Guy Hamilton does, where he has like henchmen at the end, trying to like get rid of Bond for vengeance of losing their top guy, and like it starts with them in this film where they come in like carrying food and they try to assassinate Bond with like poisoned food and also a bomb. But it fails because Bond fights them off in hilarious ways possible. Like Mr. Kidd catches on fire and gets dumped over the boat and like burns to death basically. And Mr. Wint like gets like a weird wedgie. Bond takes the bomb and like puts it on him and then wedgies him out of the boat to where the bomb explodes, killing Mr. Wint as well. And they start that whole trend with the villain henchman surviving and then dying at the end, which is actually a nice little touch because it led to great comedy for this film and the next two films prior, which yeah he did in Goldfinger too, because in Goldfinger he says it's where Goldfinger was there in the plane and actually gets sucked out of it. So I'm like, yeah, I can see that, I guess, because that also works. And then there's yes, Norman Burton, who plays Felix Leiter, and Norman Burton, was sort of a straightforward, Felix Leiter, very informative, friendly to Bond, but also once again there for him when in a pinch when he needs it, and he sort of had that once again that sort of gruff tough guy disposition, but it wasn't like as huge as in Jack Ward or Rick Van Nutter or any of those guys. But Norman Burton, played an all right, Felix Leiter. Not the greatest in my opinion, but it worked for what it needed to be. Just like C Cylinder, it was a little lacking at times, but it worked for what it needed. And then you have the regular cast that came out, like Q back as Desmond Llewellyn. You have M as Bernard Lee still. Lois Maxwell back as Miss Moneypenny, and they do their stints as well, and they're there, and it's really cool, and they get to do the stuff that they need to, and always giving great performances from them. And let's see, another thing I could say is to oh yes, another great score by John Barry, and John Barry does a great score. Like the score in this one is good. It's melodical. Hearing the Diamonds Are Forever in the score is very memorable. Very melodious and harmony and everything. And it really works well for what it needs to. And another great score by the guy. And Guy Hamilton returning as a director. You could tell that the guy knew he wanted to do this and that he gave us a fun, really good film full of great action. There's one thing where Bond took a place of another agent that they were trying to trick and take down, but that agent got away from MI6, killed some other MI6 agents, and was on his way to Bond. And there's that awesome elevator fight that Sean Connery and the guy have, and it's really fun and action packed. The moments where Bond's escape from the Science Institute and the moon rover was great, and that was fun. How he outsmarted all the four-wheelers and other sand drivers and stuff that they had. And of course, like his encounter with Blofeld, even though I didn't think Charles Gray was that great, and on top, like their encounters and their dialogues were really great. How he outsmarted Blofeld in the end was awesome. The whole thing with the deaths of Mr. Kidd and Wint were awesome, and it's a very fun film altogether. But once again, it just sort of lacks that oomph that the next two films that Guy Hamilton does that I think are top notch from him. And I'm talking of Live and Let Die and The Man with the Golden Gun, which I think was Guy Hamilton's greatest. And the film does really well in that, and it's also written by Richard Maybaum and Tom Mankiewicz, who gave us once again that fun story, but the quality of the diamonds being the target, and the diamonds were actually going into a satellite laser that Blofeld was going to use to reflect the sunlight to fire the laser down on the Earth and destroy property and cities unless he was paid his money. And they gave us that little bit, and it's just like cool effects, great stuff. Pretty good writing, all that good stuff rolled into a package. So Diamonds Are Forever is once again another film that you should have if you're a Bond fan, because it's a very entertaining film. It isn't the greatest one, but it is a very entertaining film and a very fun one to boot, and I think any of you would love to have and or see. So, just tell me what you guys think. Do you like Diamonds Are Forever? Do you think it was a good film? Do you think, do you guys like it? Or do you think, Connery should have stopped at this point? Do you think they should have maybe got another guy to play Bond? Or do you think they should have possibly made a bigger broker deal for Dalton or more? Just let me know what you guys think. And this is 012 Boku coming at you with the movie review. And I will talk to you guys later, alright? Bye-bye.